You know something? We've never been more connected. Yet somehow, we've never felt more disconnected. It's like everybody's online, but nobody's really communicating. Something weird about that. What you think? I think so. But it's something to talk about.
He got his ear to the streets to talk about. So when you hear Shayne speak, something to talk about. Yeah. There's a new message every week, something to talk about. So when you hear Shayne speak, something to talk about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, before we get to this episode, I'm gonna need you to like, share, and subscribe. What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Something to Talk About. And you already know, man, it's your boy Shayne. That is Shayne Speaks. And today we're talking about something that's slowly breaking families, friendships, communities, and society itself. We're going to talk about the breakdown of communication. And why is this happening? You know, people don't know how to connect anymore. People don't know how to listen anymore. They don't know how to disagree without hate anymore. Nah. But the truly scary part is that most people don't even realize how disconnected they truly are. How disconnected we've became as a society, as a people. And I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about people in general, man. You know, we live in a strange time, man. We've been living in a strange time. You know, where people can text instantly across the world, but struggle at the same time to have an honest conversation face to face. People post their feelings, you know, but refuse to talk about it privately. You know, it's like people know celebrities better than they even know themselves, better than they know their neighbors. We are becoming emotionally distant while being digitally connected. It's a shame. It truly is, man. You know, everywhere you look, it's division, man. We divided. You know, I'm talking about politics is dividing people. Race always been dividing people. Money is dividing people. Opinions is dividing people. Social media is dividing people. It feels like it's every man for themselves. Everybody's arguing. Nobody's understanding. Nobody's even trying to understand. And once people stop trying to understand each other, humanity starts to weaken. You know, we start weakening as a people, as human beings. A lot of us are isolating ourselves, not physically, but emotionally. People are lonely in crowded rooms. How? People are depressed around people. How? We shouldn't be. We should be able to communicate with one another. Sometimes pride keeps people silent. I do understand that. People are suffering quietly because they don't feel safe, not safe enough to open up to other people. I guess I understand. You know, you want to keep a lot of your gripes to yourself, a lot of your feelings to yourself. But we need to, that's not natural, man. You know, I mean, especially when you think about families, and some families barely communicating with each other anymore. You know, everybody's in separate rooms, separate devices, separate realities. You know, I'm talking about the dinner table conversations we used to have, that disappeared. The meaningful conversations disappeared. Some parents don't even know their children emotionally. And some children don't even feel understood by their parents. It's bad, man. And you know, when communication dies in families, the emotional foundation starts to crack. Because family is where that foundation is emotionally, man. You know, and we start to get antisocial with our family. That's not good. A lot of people have become more comfortable talking through screens than talking in real life. Why is that? Because screens feel safer? Is that why? I mean, you can edit yourself, filter yourself, control the image people see. Real connection requires vulnerability, man. And vulnerability can't fully exist behind a screen. It just can't, man. You become a character. Now the question becomes, how do we connect? How do we get back to that connection? How do we rebuild communication in a disconnected world? A world that's only connected through computer stuff. Man, we need real conversations again. Not surface conversations. Not fake conversations. Not performative conversations where you acting like you happy when you're really not. We need real conversations. We need the kind where people can be honest without fear of being attacked. Those are the conversations we need. You know, some healing only happens through genuine human conversations, genuine connection, genuine human connection. That's where the healing really happens, you know, and that's just what it is. Communities need rebuilding. People need rebuilding. We were never meant to do life completely alone. People need people, man. We need each other. We need spaces where people can gather, talk, support each other, learn from each other, and feel seen again. Not just through a screen. Nah, man. We need to be sitting down talking to one another, man. Sharing our stories. Empathy is starting to disappear in society. There's no empathy. There's too many people only listening to respond instead of listening to understand. Everybody is fighting to be heard, but very few people are trying to hear others. A lot of that is selfishness. You know, listening is a powerful tool. Sometimes people don't need advice immediately. Sometimes they just need somebody to genuinely hear them and listen. You know, connect. And real listening requires patience. It requires presence and humility. We gotta switch up a little bit. The world doesn't just need more content. It needs more connection. So we gotta switch it up, man. We gotta reverse this process because we move in the wrong way. You know, more understanding, more compassion. These are the things that we need, man. We need to transition. We need to move different. You know, many people are emotionally dying from a lack of real connection. Facts. So we gotta figure it out. And I'm using my platform to bring these topics up because these topics are very rarely spoken about. You know, we rather speak about, you know, the shade room, you know, not to talk about the shade room, but you know, that's what we want to discuss. We want to talk about the rumors. We want to talk about, you know, the things that don't necessarily affect us in a positive way. You know, we are over consuming social media, all these different technologies, these computers, these phones, these iPads, tablets, these smart TVs, all these different YouTubes. I know I'm utilizing the platform right now as we speak, but I'm utilizing the platform to speak about some things that we need to speak about, that we need to talk about. Because listen, you might look at this and you might feel entertained by what I'm saying, but you also realize that what I'm talking about is real. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this short. It's your boy Shayne Speaks, and this was something to talk about.